Do you believe in reincarnation? Can you imagine making love to a ghost? Gilbert was struggling. He's always struggling. He'd been hustling and hustling for years, but still not managing to make ends meet. He was broke, couldn't afford a girlfriend, could barely afford where he was living, a single room with a mattress on the floor. That's all he had to his name. He was working 2 jobs and could barely feed himself, talk less of savings or investing within himself. And he was tired. He was really, really tired. Fortunately for him, he had 2 friends, Bernard and Anthony. And they were kind of in the same situation. Always hustling, always looking for jobs, always getting like small gigs, not making enough money. So one day, after a long day of work and a long day of hustling, they met up at a bar close to their area and they sat down and started to contemplate their life, thinking, talking, discussing, trying to find a way out of this desperate situation that they were in. And they decided that, look, they've tried all legal means and all legal pathways. It still wasn't working, and being broke was not the goal. So they decided that they'd reach out to a mutual friend of theirs, a professional fraudster who was making it big. He always had cash, always had money, and it was always busy. He went by the name Smoke. So they agreed that they would hit up Smoke and tell him that, look, at this point, we're tired, we're stressed, we're depressed. We want to maybe enter the fraud business, help you out in whatever it is you do. Whatever it is you ask us to do, we will do it just for the money. So they did. Following that night, they hit up Smoke and told him that whatever it is, we want a meeting, we want an opportunity. You see, Smoke was a very busy man. And normally he wouldn't take these kind of meetings, but he saw their desperation and said, you know what? If you truly are serious about this, let's meet at this park at this time, far away from the city, because what I do is not safe, it's dangerous, it's a little scary. The guys agreed. So they met up with Smoke at the park and started discussion. Smoke said, look, if you guys are really serious about this, let me tell you one honest truth. No one who dabbles in fraud and does very well at this fraud business does it without the help of magic. Everybody who you know is making bank in fraud dabbles in magic. So if you really are serious about this, there are steps and tricks and things you have to go through first before you get to the end result. All the guys said yes, no hesitation. They were like, we're ready. So Smoke told them that, look, the Grandmaster is in India, but before you get to that stage, before you get a meeting with him, you have to pass 3 tests within the continent of Africa. You will go to different places, meet different people, have different things to do. Please note, most people don't get to the end. Most people do 1 or 2 tests and then stop halfway. If you want your riches to be permanent, you must fulfill all 3 tests and then meet the Grandmaster. The guy said, okay, cool. Test number 1, visit a native doctor. Locally, this native doctor will tell you to each bring 1 he-goat. He will sacrifice that goat and pour the upon it. Once you pass that test, you would have accomplished level 1. And lo and behold, Bernard, Anthony, and Gilbert all did that. Test number 2, you will go to Lome, Togo. Visit another witch doctor. For this test, you will be requested to sleep in a coffin. Upon waking, you will then be given the of chicken to drink. Again, Gilbert, Bernard, and Anthony accomplished task number 2. Many people accomplish stage 1, 2, or 3, but they don't always succeed, which is why sometimes you'll find rich fraud boys, but they don't live well. They either don't have a house, they don't have a relationship or a partner, or they don't even take care of themselves. But Gilbert, Anthony, and Bernard were on a roll. Every single step they accomplished, money was entering their bank account. They were getting richer and richer by the day, and they hadn't even met the Grandmaster. And at this point, nothing was going to stop them.
Hold up, wait, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Now let's go back to the show.
Now, the Grandmaster informed them that this was the final stage for their wealth and success to be permanent. They had already started building houses and investing in businesses, but if they wanted this luck and money to continue, their last stage was crucial. The Grandmaster informed them that they needed to find a young virgin not older than 15 who had already started her menstrual cycle. They are to find her, attack her, and her till she passes out, upon which their wealth, money, success, and everything they've ever dreamed of would be permanent. You would think that would hinder them. You would think that they'd be scared. You'd think they'd be a little worried, but no. They were dead set on the goal. The money had made them blind to morality. So Gilbert realized that, in his area across the street from his house, there's a tradesman who had a young daughter, maybe 13, maybe 14 thereabout, called Yara, and he decided that this is the girl they were going to use for their plan. But he didn't want the old man getting suspicious or even knowing that Gilbert had anything to do with his daughter. So they arranged for gang members to kidnap the little girl as she was on an errand for her mother and take her to an abandoned warehouse. There, she was tied up, mouth was taped, blindfolded, and left at the mercy of Gilbert, Anthony, and Bernard. That night in the abandoned warehouse, they abused that poor little girl until she eventually fell unconscious. But it didn't end there. They continued until she completely gave up the ghost. By that point, they felt accomplished. They had sealed their power and their riches. They dumped the poor girl's body in a black polythene bag and burned it. For the next 30 years, everything went swimmingly for the gentlemen. They owned businesses, they owned cars, they owned houses, they had money. Nothing could go wrong in their lives. Until one day, just after the COVID era, when Bernard had become a minister of state, he was welcoming his son back from college and he was getting a chance to meet his son's girlfriend. She introduced herself as Cynthia. Bernard was like, oh wow, my son has got game. He's got a girl. She looks great. She looks great for wife material and everything. Bernard's son announced that, he was getting ready to marry this girl, and Bernard was, he was very happy. He was excited. So wedding preparations started until the day before the wedding. News broke that Bernard's son had been found in bed, covered in... Bernard cried and sobbed, but he couldn't understand what in the Lord's name had happened. Absolutely devastated. On that night, he vowed that he would find whoever had done this to his son and they would pay. 1 year later, Anthony, who'd become an oil tycoon, was having breakfast, having a good day, when he got a phone call informing him that his son had passed away. He too, in his bed, covered in... At this point, the men called a conference call. 2 of 3 of them had lost their sons in a gnarly, brutal, confusing way. Gilbert, the last one, said that this looks like a pattern. So they all scrambled to try and find a solution that would help spare Gilbert's son. Unfortunately, the Grandmaster from that long time ago and it'd been 30 years. Who were they going to find to explain the situation to them? They talked for hours trying to find an explanation, reasoning, or solution to their problem. Eventually, they said they'd postpone it to next day. Right after that call, Gilbert got a call stating that his son too had passed away in his bed, covered. It's in that moment that all 3 men realized that each of their sons had passed away after having an interaction with their respective girlfriends. So again, the gentlemen met together and decided that they would go visit each of the girls' their families. And what they found out scared them to their core. The parents of the girls each told them a strange story. The daughter had seemingly passed away for days, but had suddenly come back almost as a different person. The person didn't recognize them, didn't know who they were, but identified herself as Yara. Then again, a few days later, that personality vanished and their daughters came back. They didn't understand, they didn't know, but all their daughters were back home safe and sound, and that's all they could thank God for. The 3 men were absolutely confused, petrified. Yara, they recognized that name. That was the name of the little girl 30 years ago whom they attacked, molested, and burnt to the crisp. Her ghost had waited several years, roaming the earth, looking for an opportunity to strike back, and it had found its revenge. Now, the 3 men live in constant fear, not knowing when and where they will be next. Now that's an entangled web. And that's all I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow our YouTube channel at EntangledWebStories. We post every single Saturday, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!